Okay, yesterday we left off with the dinim of what's called Muktzeh. Muktzeh is a rabbinic prohibition that you're not allowed to move certain things on Shabbos. And we learned the various reasons for them. So there's something called Keli Shemalachti Leheter. Keli Shemalachti Leheter, we learned yesterday, means a vessel, a utensil, whose usage is a normally permitted usage. In other words, there are things that you're allowed to use on Shabbos. So then they're really not Muktzeh. Now to give you examples, this book has a whole bunch of examples. A watch. A watch, you're allowed to tell time on Shabbos. A watch, therefore, is not Muktzeh. A watch is not Muktzeh because you can tell time with it. It's not a utensil that's primary purpose is something forbidden. Now, for instance, let's talk about toys, games. So the bottom line is like this. There are many toys and games you're allowed to play with in Shabbos. There are many toys and games that you're not allowed to play with in Shabbos. If you're allowed to play with it on Shabbos, it's not Muktzeh. If you're not allowed to play with it Shabbos, then it's the category what's called Keli Shemalachti Le'isr. That, let me say now what that din is because it's going to come up very, very soon.
And what about watches that are
1 second. So a watch, okay, all watches today are quartz, they're batteries. The only watch would be forbidden to wear in Shabbos would be one that has a black face completely, and if you want to see the time, you have to press a button. Or a smartwatch would probably be forbidden to wear on Shabbos, or it would be probably Muktzeh. But let's say otherwise, a watch is basically used to tell time. Telling time is not a problem. If it's something which primary use, for instance, a pen. A pen's primary use is to write. Writing is forbidden on Shabbos. So therefore, we just started discussing yesterday, what's the din of a keli shemalachti le'isr, a keli that's primary use is for something forbidden. You're allowed to move it for two purposes. Either you want to do something permissible with it, or you need the place that the object is on. But that's only allowed for something that's called keli shemalachti le'isr. It's a keli, but the primary use of it is for something forbidden. So because it's a keli, it's not completely muktzeh. It's muktzeh that if you want to do something for the object itself, for instance, simple example, this pen, let's say, is in the backyard, and it's raining, and I don't want the pen to get wet. So I want to bring in the pen. That's muktzeh. Because I'm not using a permissible usage with it. I'm just bringing it in to save the object itself.
Can you kick it in?
Muktzeh, we will learn, you can kick, you can carry it in not normal way, like with your elbow, kicking. Muktzeh is not kick, right. Because that's not the normal way of carrying it. Chacham only forbade things that are doing it the normal way that is done as far as this rabbinic prohibition. So, I'll give you another example. You want to crack open a coconut. Now, how are you going to crack open a coconut? So you take a hammer and a screwdriver, or a chisel, and you bang it out. Now, what is a hammer primarily made for? Construction. So therefore, construction is forbidden on Shabbos. If construction is forbidden on Shabbos, a hammer's primary use is for something forbidden. Therefore, it's muktzeh. Which means if the hammer is in the backyard, and I don't want it to get stolen or ruined, then I'm not allowed to bring it in. Now, halacha says you could cheat. In other words, you can create a usage that you want the pen for or the hammer for. I'm going to crack open a nut. Even though the Alter Rebbe said better not to crack nuts on Shabbos for a different reason. But, in other words, then I can cheat and bring it in for a designated purpose. But if I want to move the muktzeh because it's going to get ruined, I'm not allowed to move it. Even because it's keli shemlachtilit, it's still muktzeh, but not completely muktzeh.
And you discussed a little yesterday, you would make up a usage.
Correct.
So like a book holder would be permissible.
Yes, but there are opinions that hold, and we'll get to that later, the details of it, that you're only allowed to move a keli shemalachte le'isr for a permissible usage if there's nothing else available. In other words, I want to crack open the coconut, the best way is a hammer. I can't take a knife and crack open the coconut, right? So there's nothing else available. So then I would be allowed to. I'll give you another example. If you have a bag, okay, you know what a bag looks like. You have a bag of potato chips. I want to open the bag of potato chips on Shabbos. Now, the way the bags of potato chips are, they're sealed on top. So therefore, how do you normally open a bag of potato chips? You separate, you pull it apart, okay, and then the bag opens. Now, you're not allowed to do that on Shabbos because you are creating a vessel without ruining it. Until now, you couldn't put anything into it. You couldn't take anything out of it because it's sealed. You're opening it up, you're making a vessel to put in and take out. So that you're not allowed to. So how are you allowed to open the bag of potato chips on Shabbos? You could rip it, as long as you don't rip letters, because ripping letters is another malacha called erasing letters. So technically, if there's no letters on the bag, you can rip the bag because you're destroying the bag, and for food, the chachamim are allowed to do it. But what happens if either the bag is very tough, or if I rip it by hand, I'm going to rip letters? So, if you want to make potato chip powder. So halachically, and when you tell this to people, you could take a scissors and cut the bag evenly. Not ripping, but you're allowed to take a scissors. Now normally a scissors is made to cut. Normally cutting is not allowed in Shabbos. So a scissors is a keli shemalachta le'isr. But here you're doing it, you're using it for something permissible. And in that case it's easier because it's really nothing else, because if you rip it by hand you might tear letters. And then you're going to come mamish by accident to desecrate Shabbos.
What do you cut? I missed that. What do you cut?
At the top of the envelope. Back.
This is the bag, okay, and the top is sealed, right? Yeah? So you can't pull it apart. Okay. You take the scissors and you cut it here.
I didn't understand the difference of pulling it to cutting it.
No, because cutting it, you're ruining the bag. This is not ruining the bag, it's the full bag. You didn't ruin the bag.
You're cutting it at the same portion.
This is a real bag.
Top, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Where would you cut?
When this, here, we can't cut letters. Wherever there's no letters. Because this is a full bag. The full keli was sealed. On top is glue or whatever, the heat, whatever. Okay? Now normally you pull it apart like this did. So the bag is completely intact. The bag is completely intact. You didn't ruin the bag. But when you cut it, now the bag is smaller and you ruined the bag.
So it's below the surface.
Yeah. Notice not only the point. The point is because that's when it's glued together and you're separating it, that's real tearing on Shabbos. But if you tear it in a way that you destroy the bag, even if it's an inch lower.
So that I'm just trying to understand. To me, it looks like a nice clean cut. But you're saying
because
the
it's
back surface.
Correct. It's not the full bag as it was before.
Okay, so then technically you can turn on the side and that would be.
Yeah, but then everything's gonna fall out.
Why did you emphasize it to be cut straight?
Oh, you can cut it crooked, but as long as you don't rip letters. A lot of times, like for instance here, you have letters here, right? So if you're not going to cut it straight, you're going to cut letters, which is forbidden. But if you cut it with a scissors, you can make a straight cut where there's no letters.
But the chaffa essentially is that it's smaller than the original design.
It's not the original size of the original
So
bag.
if you cut in a tiny piece, and the rest I can open up by hand.
What do you mean?
Like, as long as I cut it.
No, because you're still separating two glued
but
pieces
it's
together.
heat sealed.
a glue that
It's if it's heat sealed, it's still sealed. It's still a din of kriya. Doesn't matter. It's still sealed. It's still sealed. Huh?
You chopped up a whole corner. Doesn't need scissors anymore, right? You chopped up a full corner, and then you open. That's fine because you cut off the sides.
No, but even then, the rest of the part that you're separating the top, that it's a din of not making a keli. It's a din of tearing. That's what.
You need like a pair of scissors in your kitchen. Use it on Shabbos. It's better than.
Yeah, it's better than using a knife because with a knife you can end up cutting letters because you can't cut it. What?
About the watch, I think that the watch with the battery is forbidden on Shabbat. Except if it's gold watch for men, that is for decoration, Hidur Shabbat. For women, anyway.
That is a shaila, not about muktzeh. That is a shaila about wearing a watch in the street. Is it carried? Now, a watch with a battery is not muktzeh. For those of you that are a little bit older, remember they used to have the self-winding watches. Schwachemeises.
Most expensive watches, that's exactly what
Okay, now, the question is, when I move my hand, am I winding the watch? So the din is, it's not a problem. Why? Because before Shabbos, the watch is able to go for 24 hours based on the amount it was wound before.
Assuming you wore it on Thursday.
Right. In other words, yeah. Then there's another shaila. If it's working already and you continue it working, it's not necessarily fixing something because it never broke. Understand? There's a big machlek.
What is winding it?
Huh? If a watch I'll tell you. Let's say a watch was a winding watch. You know, the manual winding watches. And the watch stopped. So technically the watch broke. Not you need a professional to fit, but the watch broke.
I no longer tell time.
Okay. Now if you wind it, you are fixing it. Shabbos, there's a halacha called tikkun mona. You're not allowed to fix something broken. But if it's always working, and you're working, just make it work more, it's not number one, you're not fixing anything. But the main heter, Poskim right, is because really you had enough power to go for 20. So your movement is not doing anything.
But that's an assumption.
Right. Yeah.
It's a special watch you wear 5 times a year. I don't know. You want to wear it.
So then if you want to wear it on Shabbos in a self-winding watch, you have to make sure before Shabbos is completely wound. Whatever. It's
Shabbos morning.
So 1 second. Now, 1 second. 1 second. Now, let's say a man has a broken watch. Okay? Or it's not wound up enough. The watch, bottom line, the watch is not working. Not that it's fast, because then I could still tell time. It's 5 minutes earlier or later. What happens if the watch stopped working? Now, it's called a broken vessel. It's not a vessel anymore. So it's Muktzeh.
Oh.
So it's Muktzeh.
Broken vessel.
Completely Muktzeh. You can't move it for any reason.
Broken vessel is Muktzeh?
Yeah. We'll get this. Muktzeh is a whole book, you see? It's a broken vessel. Now, if you have, and this is what you were talking about, a man will not wear a watch that doesn't work. A man will not wear a watch that doesn't work. Women, if it's a nice jewelry piece, will wear a watch even if it doesn't work because it's jewelry. So therefore, for a woman, a non-working decorative watch, not a cheap piece of garbage, a gold watch, diamonds, whatever it is, that's not muktzeh because for her, she wears it. It's a garment.
Why can we say that about a man?
Because men don't, come on. Okay, if a guy has a really, really expensive diamond the Rolex, it's $500,000 that's ripped off in the Beverly Hills restaurant the other week. Yeah, so that watch, you can wear because it's show off even if don't know.
And because it's winter as jewelry, you don't have the problem of activating it as a problem. Meaning, you wake up Shabbos morning, it's not ticking. You know if you put it on 3 minutes in, it starts ticking.
Oh, then you're winding it.
Correct.
That's another issue. There's muktzeh. There's muktzeh, but there's fixing. Just because I want to wear jewelry doesn't mean I can fix it. The muktzeh is true, it's not. Because you want to wear it for jewelry. Right? The other issue is an issue. Okay.